The vacant shop was sealed with a steel blind. There was no way of lifting the securely locked blind. It was a food store selling fruit and vegetables. I glanced without much interest at the fruit. It was dusty, shriveled, and tired-looking. They were lilies or tulips. Some kind of flowers, anyhow. Pretty, I guess, if you like that sort of thing. Me? I couldn't see the point of buying something that was already half dead. I inhaled deeply, expecting to experience the scent of the flowers. What I got was traffic fumes. The shop window featured a display of gowns and women's stuff. The window was full of overpriced clothes for overprivileged women. The woman was doing something with a pair of needles that couldn't be described as knitting. She was a cheery old soul, the kind you'd walk across the street to avoid. Oh, hi.
Bonjour, monsieur. Would you like me to foretell your future?
No thanks.
I'm very good, and it only takes a minute.
Thanks all the same, but I'm not superstitious. Besides, if it only takes a minute, that's not much of a future to look forward to. What do you make of this tool?
Is it something a dentist would use?
No, it's for raising manhole covers.
Formidable.
Do you recognize this nose?
Non, monsieur.
What can you tell me about this tissue?
Nothing?
What can you tell me about this material?
It's a very expensive piece of cloth, monsieur.
Are the flowers for sale?
Oui, monsieur.
Okay. I'll take a bunch of those white ones.
I wouldn't do that if I was you.
No?
They are lilies, monsieur. Some people associate them with death.
Yikes. Well, thanks for telling me. What other flowers do you have?
Dahlias?
What do they signify?
Insecurity.
I don't want to give her the wrong idea about me. What about the tall yellow ones?
Those are iris, the flame of passion.
And the little yellow ones?
Sensuality.
Well, they're no use to me. I want to make an impression, not jump down her throat. I've changed my mind. Will you tell my fortune?
You're going on a long journey.
My, oh my. What a surprise. Can you tell me anything I don't already know?
10 francs, please, my dear.
10 francs? That's a ripoff.
Please yourself.
How does this fortune-telling routine work?
If I knew that, I wouldn't be selling flowers for a living.
Haven't you ever wondered why you were blessed with the gift?
Well, it's a bit like satellite television, I suppose. Some of us are born with a built-in receiver dish. I just happen to be one of the lucky ones.
Can you really foretell the future?
Only time will tell, monsieur. The strange thing is, I can't seem to see myself in the future. Other people? I have no problem. But when I try to see what might happen to me,
That must be scary.
Maybe. I figure it's a kind of natural safety mechanism. Either that, or I don't have a future.
Do you know a young woman called Nicole Collard?
Yes, I do. She lives upstairs from me, in the apartment block across the street.
I tried the door, but it's locked.
You know, I've told the landlord about that 1,000,000 times. It is the damp. The whole building is like a sponge. It sucks up the moisture from God knows where.
You mean the door is stuck because it's swollen?
That is correct. There is an art to opening it. Don't shove it hard. Just give it a gentle nudge above the lock.
Thanks for the advice. How long has Mademoiselle Collard lived here?
A few months. She's in for a shock when the cold weather comes. Drafty windows, insufficient heating, it's a struggle to keep warm. The only reason I stay is because the rent is cheap. Your young lady, she deserves better.
I thought Mademoiselle Collard was a successful photographer.
Not as successful as she makes out for all her fine clothes. Oh, I've heard her crying herself to sleep at night.
That's awful.
Now don't you let on that I've told you. She's proud, that one. Too proud, if you ask me.
Do you recognize this nose?
No, monsieur.
See you later.
That's right, monsieur. You will.
Remembering the flower seller's advice, I pushed the door gently just above the lock.
Bonjour. I'm glad you could make it, monsieur.
Please, call me George.
Fine. I'm Nicole. Take a seat, George. Eh bien? And what have you been up to?
I've been exploring the sewers beneath the cafe.
I thought I could smell something bad.
The clown used the sewer to escape and to change out of his costume. I guess he was in a hurry. He left his jacket behind.
And?
I got his tailor's phone number. What's more, I know where he hired the clown suit, too.
You had better luck than I did.
Luck, she said. Luck! Hard work, I'd call it. What happened?
I took my photographs to the editor, but he wasn't interested. Can you believe it? He told me to drop his story.
But you're not about to do that.
Oh no! I am going to find out what's behind these killings. You know what I think? It's a conspiracy. The police in 3 different countries have kept very quiet about the murders. The press don't connect them at all. They blame them on political, religious, or militant minority extremists.
That covers just about everyone. This is the tool I used to get into the sewers.
Fascinating, George.
You're not interested, are you?
Oh, of course I am. I think it was very brave of you to go down those sewers.
Yeah? Well, it was kind of scary, but... Well, I had a job to do. I found this false nose in the sewer. It has La Risée du Monde printed inside it.
The laughing stock of the world. It's a costume shop near the Gare Saint-Lazare.
I'll check it out. Maybe the owner remembers who hired the clown costume.
Why don't you put it on, George?
No way am I wearing this. I'd look really stupid. Besides, he might have had a cold. I found this tissue down the sewer.
Oh, that's disgusting, George.
I think the stuff on it is grease paint, like actors use. Or clowns.
It's still disgusting. Get rid of it.
I found a piece of material near the cafe. When I showed it to the concierge, he recognized it right away.
It's very distinctive, all right. Just wait until you see this. I developed the film I shot at the cafe. Here, George, it's an enlargement I made. Look what that guy's wearing.
Checkered pants. The same material as I found in the sewer.
That's right. This guy shouldn't be difficult to find.
Oh no?
Take a close look at his left cheek.
A scar. In the shape of a horseshoe.
Oh, a crescent moon.
How come you enlarged this photograph of me?
Because I noticed the guy behind you, of course.
Did I show you this tissue?
Yes, George. I asked you to get rid of it.
I showed you the red nose, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Why don't you pay a visit to the shop it came from?
I just might do that. This is the tool I used to get into the sewers.
Yeah, you showed me before.
May I use your telephone?
Sure, go ahead.
Thanks.
Hello? Who is this?
Mr. Todrick?
Oh, it's you again. What now?
Did you make a suit for a man with a scar on his face? A scar in the shape of a crescent moon?
Maybe. Maybe not.
Tell me where I can find him and I'll leave you alone.
And if I don't,
I won't leave you alone.
I can't tell you anything unless you give me his name.
Do you know where I can find the guy with the scar?
I told you. Without a name, I can't help you.
Thanks for nothing, Todrick. How did Plantow get your name?
For the newspaper La Liberté, I'd written an article linking two unsolved murders, one in Italy and the other in Japan. The cases were remarkably similar. A wealthy victim, no apparent motive, and a costume killer. Planta said he could supply me with more information. Somehow, the clown must have known about our appointment.
Tell me more about the clown's previous victims.
The first was Arno Bellotta, the millionaire pharmaceutical baron. He made his money from amphetamines in the post-war slimming and diet boom. Imagine it! Millions of housewives literally beating their butts off.
Was he killed for his money?
No. He had no living relatives, and his fortune went to the orphanage where he grew up. The only witness in the case was his Filipino au pair. She swears he was led to his death by a snowman.
What about the clown's second victim?
Yamada, the controversial Japanese green politician. He inherited his fortune from his father's electrochemical consortium. He was committed to dismantling Japan's automobile industry.
I can't see him gaining much support with a loony policy like that.
Yamada was a man of vision. He was years ahead of his time.
If you say so. How did he die?
At the hands, or should I say, flippers, of a giant emperor penguin.
A snowman, a penguin, and now a clown. You know, I hate to admit it, but this is scary. And I'll tell you what, I won't be accepting any invitations to costume parties.
I don't blame you for being scared. I am too. But this story could be my only chance of a big break.
Or a premature death. You speak very good English for a French girl.
Thanks. You speak very good English for an American.
Tell me more about yourself.
Oh, there is not much to tell.
Well, how did you get into photography?
I guess I owe that to my father. He bought my first camera. I was 8 and my parents had just split up.
Did you live with your father?
Yes, my mother went off with her new boyfriend. I don't mind. Papa was all I needed. 4 years later, he died in a plane crash.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's alright. I don't mind talking about him. He was more like an older brother, really, always joking and laughing. Papa always wanted I should study art. That's why I went to college.
Did you learn about photography at college?
Oh, God, no. I couldn't afford the materials. We were billed for everything we used, paint, canvas, paper. Most of my year turned to minimalism. It was cheaper. I used to go poaching in the park for squirrel hair. The only time I wasn't hungry was the term I did printing. I used to eat the potatoes.
You're making fun of me, aren't you?
Oh, no.
Do you have a boyfriend?
That's none of your business.
Rosso didn't blink when I told him about the clown. It's as if he already knew.
That is typical of a cold fish like Rosso. I've seen cheeseburgers with more spunk.
I'm going back out to search for that clown.
Where?
I guess I could visit the costume shop.
Good idea.
It was a disgustingly realistic plastic novelty, like one I'd left on the teacher's desk at school. Boy, that caused so much of a stink you'd have thought it was a real one. As my fingers closed on the plastic novelty, I realized my mistake. It was a novelty, all right, but it wasn't plastic. No way was I gonna touch that thing again. The sight of the dog waste set my stomach churning again. I quickly looked away. The dummy wore a traditional Puro costume. At least, I guess it was a dummy. I gave the dummy Puro a tentative prod, but it didn't move. She reminded me of a girl I dated back in high school. Come to think of it, the dummy had more personality. As I was about to touch the dummy, I realized it had the same color eyes as Nico. The strange thing was, I hadn't realized I'd noticed the color of Nico's eyes. It was an antique phonograph, the kind you have to wind by hand. It was an antique phonograph, the kind you have to wind by hand. The guy's spoon-shaped face was mournful and humorless. He looked like a vegetarian in a slaughterhouse. Excuse me.
Bonjour, monsieur. Please, come in. Welcome. Leave the mundane world behind, for in these four walls, fantasy is king.
I don't want a costume.
Didn't you ever dress up when you were a child?
Not that I remember.
Incredible! You'll be telling me next that you never shared your elder sister's lingerie.
I don't have a sister, and I think I'd look pretty silly in a brassiere. I just need some information.
Of course. How can I help you?
What does this tool mean to you?
Nothing, monsieur.
Do you want this red nose back?
Not after it's been worn, thank you.
Does this dirty tissue mean anything to you?
Let me smell that. Bestheimer's number 7 white pancake.
Theatrical grease paint, right?
Oui, monsieur. La crème de la crème of Thespian accoutrement.
Have you sold any of it recently?
Yes, 2 cans.
Do you recognize this man?
Oui, monsieur. That is the man to whom I sold the grease paint. I remember the scar on his face. He chose 2 costumes. Bozo the clown and Seamus the pixie.
A pixie?
Very smart. Green silk with a taffeta lining. He gave me his name as Monsieur Card.
Have you heard of a man named Plantile?
I do not recall anyone of that name.
About this tissue.
I have already given you my professional opinion.
Are you sure this is the same man who hired the clown suit?
Certainement, Monsieur Card.
Thanks for your help, buddy.
My pleasure, monsieur. Allow me to shake you by the hand.
Huh? Well, okay. What are you trying to do, kill me?
You did not find it amusing?
I never saw the funny side of electroshock therapy.
Eh bien, it is yours to keep. A gift?
Do I need a license?
No, but I give you a word of warning, monsieur.
What?
Remember to switch it off before you visit the toilet.
Hello? Who is this?
It's George Stobart again.
What now?
I found out the name of the guy I'm looking for.
Is that so?
Yeah, it's Khan. You know who I'm talking about, don't you?
Yes, I delivered the suit to his hotel. The Hotel Ubu. I don't remember the room number. It was upstairs. The second room on the right-hand side of the corridor.
Thanks, Todrick. That's all I wanted to know. Now I've got you, Mr. Clown. The muscular workman wore a morose expression, like a silent warning to leave him to get on with his job. Hi.
You're the guy who gave me the tip, aren't you?
Huh?
The racehorse. Salah-ed-Din.
Oh, yeah, but
I put every franc I had on that horse.
listen,
My lifetime savings, next month's rent, everything.
Oh, God.
She won by 3 lengths. I'm a rich man.
Call me Lucky George, the punter's friend. So how come you're still here?
Oh, I'm not going to let my newfound wealth change me, not one bit. I bought this hole, fittings and all. Now I can come and go as I please. No more clocking on or completion schedules. No foreman breathing down my neck. Thanks to you, I've found paradise.
I'm getting a mushy feeling in my chest. But not half as mushy as your head.
What do you want now?
Would you like to shake hands with me?
No, I wouldn't. One of the real pleasures of being rich is not having to be polite.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, I don't.
Do you recognize this tissue?
Certainly not.
What do you make of this clown's nose?
It would be more amusing if you were wearing it.
I borrowed this tool from you while you were gone.
Keep it. I can afford to buy a new set now.
I gotta go.
Don't let me keep you.
Excuse me?
Ah, Monsieur Stobart, n'est-ce pas?
That's correct. You remember me.
The retention of such data is part of my duty as a gendarme. That is how crime is fought, through attention to detail, not intuition.
Yes, sure. What do you suppose this tool is used for, Sergeant Moo?
It looks like something an obstetrician would use, monsieur.
It was with tools like this that the clown made his escape.
I don't understand.
He opened up the hole and disappeared into the bowels of the earth.
If you say so, monsieur.
I found this red nose in the sewer.
What were you doing down there?
Fishing for clues. That's where the clown went.
You still insist you saw a clown, monsieur?
Of course. And this novelty nose proves it.
It will take more than a plastic proboscis to convince Inspector Rousseau.
You don't want this as evidence, then?
Certainly not, monsieur.
Do you recognize this dirty tissue?
No, monsieur, I do not.
I found it in the sewer.
Perhaps it would be better if you put it back there.
No way! This could be an important clue.
If you say so, monsieur.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, monsieur.
It's the guy who bombed the cafe. The clown.
This man looks nothing like a clown.
He's taken off his grease paint and costume.
Then there is nothing to link this man with the killing.
Nothing? Look at those murderous eyes.
Hardly likely to get him convicted.
Would you like to shake my hand, Sergeant?
Not while I'm on duty, monsieur. The gesture could be misconstrued.
Do you know a man named Khan? He's a shifty-looking guy with a scar on his left cheek.
No, monsieur. Has this man any connection with the bombing of the cafe?
Yes. I believe Khan was the name he used when he hired the clown costume. Is Rosso here?
Yes, he is. You wish to speak to him?
Yes, I do.
One moment, monsieur. Stobart is here to see you, monsieur.
Did he say what it was about?
Non, monsieur.
Very well.
Hi, Inspector. Remember me?
But of course, Mr. Stobbard, my mind is a well-ordered faculty. A mental classification system that's the envy of the Bibliothèque Nationale. No tricks, mark you, monsieur. Just exercise. Just as our muscles waste through inactivity, so our minds decay. But there is no need. If only people would learn to exercise their wits daily.
If he was trying to impress me, it worked. He was pompous and patronizing, but he had style.
Eh bien, if you called about the bombing, you're too late. Investigations have been closed.
But
I've been taken off the case.
what about the murder, the dead guy?
It is out of my hands.
What do you make of this, Rosso?
It is a tool for gaining access to sewers.
Does this red nose mean anything to you?
I'd imagine it means you have not given up your pursuit of the clown.
You're absolutely right. I found this tissue in the sewer.
It would have been best if you'd left it there.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No.
It's the face of a killer.
The man who bombed the cafe?
The photograph was taken soon after the explosion. He'd escaped through the sewers, leaving a trail of clues behind him.
Circumstantial evidence, Stobbard. None of it proves a thing.
Would you care to shake my hand, Inspector?
Please don't be offended if I decline your offer, Stobbard. The palms of my hands are particularly sensitive.
What was that psycho-detective business you did in the cafe?
It is my theory that the passions evoked in violent crimes create ripples in the ether, invisible to all but the possessor of a highly developed and receptive mind.
I'm impressed. Can you bend spoons, too?
I didn't think a man of your obvious intelligence would stoop to mockery.
I'm not mocking. I've had personal experience of the power of the mind. I used to get ignored at parties until I read a book that changed my life.
Really? What was it called?
Hypnotism for Fun and Profit. He looked at me as if I'd farted at a funeral.
The power of mesmerism is a rare gift, not a party trick.
You're not going to try any of that psychic interrogation on me, are you?
Do you find the thought of my probing distasteful?
Let's just say I'd rather you didn't. I've got more doubts than doubting Thomas when it comes to mysticism.
Too bad. I think you would make an interesting subject under controlled regression.
The day I let anyone mess with my mind hasn't dawned yet. Don't you want to know what I found out about the killer?
I told you, monsieur, the case is closed. I have washed my hands of the whole affair.
Then I'll have to continue my investigations without your help.
No, you must forget the business of the clown completely. Go back to being an ordinary tourist, Stobbard.
Did you find out the ID of the guy who was killed in the explosion?
I already knew who he was.
I heard that the bomb victim's name was Plantar.
Your sources are reliable.
He was a big shot at the Treasury, wasn't he? Maybe that's why you've been taken off the case.
I'm sorry, monsieur. I cannot comment.
So long, Inspector. It was Rosso's sidekick, Sergeant Moo. Excuse me.
What do you want now?
See you later, Sergeant. The guy looked just like a weasel. The man looked like an amiable Bigfoot. Excuse me.
Yeah?
Do you happen to know a guy named Khan?
That ain't nobody I know.
I'm sorry to be a burden on your brain. You ever meet a guy called Plantow?
No, I ain't.
You missed your chance. If you're quick, you'll catch him at the coroner's. Have you seen a guy dressed as a clown?
No, I ain't. Don't tell me I missed him. Oh, that's too bad. I love the clowns, don't you?
I've seen daytime television that was funnier.
I love it when the little guys get hyped.
That figures.
Custard pies, hose pipe down the pants, then smack! A plank in the kisser.
What do these... Oh, never mind. Have you ever seen this clown's nose before?
Nope.
Do you recognize this tissue? Think carefully now.
Ooh, ooh, ooh,
I'm gonna have to hurry you.
ooh!
Time's up, so I'll tell you. It's a used tissue with a liberal dump of Bestheimer's number 12.
If you say so.
Do you recognize the guy in this photograph?
Is this a trick question?
No, I simply asked if you recognized him.
Okay then. Nope, I don't.
Shake my hand.
Nah.
Oh, rats. See you later.
Not if you see me first.
Excuse me.
Yes?
What does this tool suggest to you?
Hard labor.
Have you ever seen this clown's nose before?
No.
What does this tissue mean to you?
Are you serious?
Oh, yes. Take a good look at the substance it's smeared with.
You are sick. Very sick.
Do you recognize the guy in this photograph?
No, I never saw it.
Will you shake my hand?
Are you joking? Who knows where it has been?
Have you heard of a guy called Plantar?
No, that name means nothing to me.
I'm looking for a clown.
Are you trying to be funny?
No, I really am looking for a clown.
There are no clowns here except you.
Do you know a man by the name of Khan?
No, I don't.
It's very important I get to see him, and
I told you, I don't know it.
forget it. The woman was obviously English. She had all the qualities of Boadicea, Elizabeth I, and Margaret Thatcher rolled into one. It wasn't a pretty sight. It was a magnificent old Steinway piano. I figured the lady at the keys wouldn't appreciate a duet with a musical illiterate like me. The figure of a sexless youth was frozen in mid-skip with a silly grin on its stone lips. I recognized the guy. It was the Nobel Prize winner from the country whose name I couldn't pronounce. Hi there, ma'am.
Well, hello. What can I do for you?
I'm looking for a man.
You disappoint me, my dear. For one foolish moment I thought... But never mind. Aren't you going to tell me your name?
George Stobart, ma'am.
How sweet! I once had a stable boy called George. I am Lady Piermont. The common reaction is to kneel and stutter, but it's not obligatory.
A real lady? I mean, you're an honest-to-God aristocrat?
Oh, I don't know about that. Few of my ancestors are honest, not even to God. I can trace my family back to the Normans, but don't let that intimidate you, George. Beneath that impressive pedigree, I'm just flesh and blood. The blood may be blue, but the flesh is the plump beef of old England, so to speak. You appear distracted, George. Is there any way I can help you?
Can you think of any use for this tool, ma'am?
I can think of someone I'd like to use it on.
Do you know what this is?
At a guess, I'd say it was a clown's nose.
That's right. It was worn as a disguise by a vicious killer.
Good heavens, are you trying to alarm me?
It's true. He uses the name Khan.
I've never heard of the man.
Does this tissue mean anything to you?
Good God, no!
I just thought the smell might be familiar.
Please, darling, put it away. I'm no shrinking violet, but that object makes me feel quite queasy.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
My God, it's him! That's Merlin!
She represented everything I loved about the English. The lady was totally deranged. Merlin? You mean King Arthur's wizard?
Good heavens, no! Monsieur Merlin is a fellow guest.
Would you like to shake my hand, ma'am?
Now, George, there's no need to be so formal. We met as tourists, and I want to keep it that way, despite the enormous social gulf between us.
The man you know as Merlin is a fake.
What do you mean, sweetie?
He's a murderer. He also uses the name Khan.
I am shocked, Mr. Stobart. Shaken. I took him to be a gentleman, a man of honor. You know, I'd rather like to assist you in stitching him up.
When did you last see Merlin?
It was no more than an hour ago. He came downstairs and spoke to that clerk chappie. Something passed hands. I couldn't see what exactly.
A briefcase?
No, smaller than that. A bundle of papers, perhaps. The clerk put it in the hotel safe and Merlin went out.
Are you sure you saw Merlin putting documents in the safe?
Yes, darling, positive.
I wonder what they were.
Obviously something of great importance.
Yeah, I'd sure like to get my hands on whatever it is. I'll bet they had something to do with Plantow's briefcase. Did you know there's a gangster out front?
What makes you think he's a gangster?
The Italian suit and the bulge in his pocket?
I know plenty of men with Italian suits and bulges in their pockets. That doesn't necessarily make them gangsters.
Are you here in Paris on vacation?
No, darling, I'm on holiday. I needed to get away after Algy's funeral.
I didn't realize you were mourning the loss of a loved one.
I'm not. He was my husband.
I'm sorry to hear about your husband's death.
You wouldn't be if you knew him, my dear. It gave me the opportunity to take a well-deserved holiday. Daphne suggested a change of scenery. Paris, she said. A wild romance is just what you need to take your mind off being crest. Well, the closest I came to romance was being wooed by a drunken Breton chef. I must say I was disappointed with his coq au vin. Not at all what I was expecting. I was thinking of cutting my holiday short, packing my bags and heading back to Hemel Hempstead. That was until last night.
What happened to you last night?
I was stricken, Mr. Stobart. Cupid's arrow has cleft my bosom.
They couldn't really miss.
It was just as I'd always imagined it should be. The intimacy of candlelight, romantic music tinkling across the room, and then a stranger's glance. Those brooding eyes, that suave manner, those tight trousers. He was the man I'd been waiting for all my life.
I'm glad he finally turned up after all these years.
Ah, but it wasn't to be. He was merely toying with my affections. And if I ever catch up with him, he's dead.
Has Merlin returned to the hotel?
No, he hasn't. Are you going to search his room?
If I could get in there, I would. I have to go, ma'am. Excuse me, didn't I see your picture in the news? You're that Nobel Prize winner from some unpronounceable Eastern European state.
Yes, that is me, in person.
I don't want to worry you, but have you had any threats on your life? You know, mysterious phone calls, letters made up of headlines cut from the newspaper.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Have you any idea what this tool might be used for?
I cannot guess.
Would it mean anything if I told you it was for lifting drain covers?
Such technology fills me with wonder.
What does this clown's nose suggest to you?
In my country, we have no use for clowns.
I'm glad to hear it.
They were dealt with most severely in the last cultural cleansing.
What about the mimes? Did you get them too?
All gone. Our streets are mime-free.
Sounds like heaven. Does this goo-smeared tissue mean anything to you?
No, it doesn't.
Do you recognize this man? He calls himself Khan.
Yes, I know this man. Why do you carry his photograph?
I'm a private detective. This is a photo of Khan, right?
That is just one of the names by which he is known.
May I shake you by the hand?
I do not shake the hands of imperialist dogs.
Now, that's a real bad attitude problem you've got there. Do you know a guy called Plantow?
I don't know anybody in Paris.
Oh, well, this guy's dead anyhow.
Why do you ask me about dead men? I have seen enough of death to last me a lifetime.
I'm, sure you have. Have you seen a clown?
I beg your pardon?
The clown. A guy in funny pants. Have you seen him?
My pants are from England. Marks and Spencer. They are a pleasure and a comfort to wear, with much support.
I'm real glad to hear that. You know, it's good to know you Nobel Prize winners are human too.
In my country, the people make do with string and egg cartoons.
For pants?
For everything. Oppression is the mother of ingenuity.
Thanks for your help.
Goodbye.
The sign on the door read 21. The door was locked. The sign on the door read 22. If the tailor's description was correct, this was the killer's room. The door was locked. Room number 23. The door was locked. Hanging from a brass hook was a key and a plastic tag.
Excusez-moi, monsieur.
What?
You were trying to steal that key, no?
No way. The clerk wore a disdainful expression, like he'd been born with it. I want some information.
Who are you? The police?
I'm conducting a private investigation.
Ah, I know only too well what you mean. That is one of the drawbacks of the catering business. When people book into an hotel, they leave their morals at home, no?
What do you make of this tool?
Stunning, monsieur. I bet you handle it like a professional.
Do you recognize this red nose?
No, monsieur.
What do you make of this tissue?
Do you wish me to dispose of it for you, monsieur?
Hey, no! It could be useful. I'm holding on to this.
As you wish, monsieur. Perhaps you would like a little plastic baggie to keep it in?
Nah, it's fine the way it is. Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
Yes, monsieur. That man is one of our guests.
What name?
I cannot tell you that.
Hey, shake my hand.
I'd rather not, monsieur. I'm still sore from the shock administered by one of the guests. He was secretly concealing an electrical device in the palm of his hand. Practical jokes are so puerile, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'd like to retrieve something from your safe.
Ah, oui, monsieur. May I see some form of identification?
Like what?
A driving license, perhaps?
I don't drive.
Your passport?
I don't have it with me. Yeah, I could show you my operation scar.
I'm sorry, monsieur. I must have some form of unique ID.
You won't find a more unique ID than my scar.
I'm sorry. I must insist on a more traditional identification.
Rats. About the key hanging on the hook over there.
Oui, monsieur.
Which room is it for?
Number 21.
Is that room taken?
No. The guests checked out this morning.
I'd like to check into room 21.
That is not possible.
How come? You said it was vacant.
It is reserved for another guest.
Rats.
No, monsieur. Dutch.
Do you know a man named Plantow?
No, monsieur.
I'm looking for a man who dresses like a clown.
This is a highly respectable hotel, monsieur. There are no clowns here.
If you say so. Thanks for your help, buddy.